You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options. Facebook.com/TheOptionsInsider or via questions at TheOptionsInsider.com.
Join us now for the expert source for inside information on the options markets. It's time for Options Insider Radio with your host, Mark Longo.
Welcome back to Options Insider Radio, the interview program here on the old network where we welcome on guests from throughout the world of options and derivatives and proceed to pick their brains for the benefit of you, the listener. My name is Mark Longo from the Options Insider, and you know, if you sound a little bit different, if you hear a little bit of noise and talking in the backgrounds, because we're not in our studio here in Chicago this week. Nope, we're actually down the street at the Trading Show Chicago. So if you're paying attention, keeping track at home, listeners, that's the third conference in about a week for us here. So a lot of content, a lot of great guests lined up on our network, including our next guest. He is a newcomer to the network. He is Andy Fleury, the founder and CEO at AlgoTrader. Andy, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Very nice to be here.
And Andy, as we are wont to do with all of our first-timers here on the network, why don't you go ahead and give our audience a little bit of an overview of your background in the financial technology space and what it is, even though the name's kind of descriptive, but what it is you guys do at AlgoTrader.
Yes. So I'm Andy Fleury. I'm from Switzerland. I used to be a hedge fund trader for many years. We started AlgoTrader in 2014 already, a Swiss company with a subsidiary in New York and Singapore. We help trading companies like hedge funds, prop shops, banks automate their trading strategies. So basically we provide anything from backtesting, analytics, to live trading, reconciliation, reporting, and all of that.
Interesting. And how did you get lured into that, and particularly in Switzerland? You know, a hedge fund algo system in Switzerland.
So Switzerland is actually the European capital for hedge funds, and as you might know, Switzerland, there is also the crypto valley. We're heavily into digital assets. We're very close to the crypto valley. There is a lot of, crypto going on, a lot of new startups. So we're very close to that. So for us, it was quite natural to get into the space, and the trading show is, a very known brand. It's a show you have to be. Yes. So for us, it was a no-brainer.
So the Crypto Valley of Switzerland, I like that. I've never been there. I've been to Lake Lucerne. I've been to the more tourist regions. Is the Crypto Valley adjacent to the tourist regions of Lake Lucerne? So
the Crypto Valley is actually just between Zurich and Lucerne.
Okay.
So it's right in the middle, but really close, maybe 20 miles apart from each other.
Interesting. And was that just because a lot of funds started there, or was power cheap there and a lot of mining? What made that the Crypto Valley?
No, so the main reason for Crypto Valley is regulation. Switzerland has a pretty unique environment that allows crypto startups, to set up their business in a regulated environment. That's a reason why even a lot of fintech startups from the Silicon Valley moved to Switzerland. As you might know, the Ethereum Foundation is actually located in Crypto Valley. Yeah, I've heard sayings that there are over 1,000 crypto companies now into Crypto Valley. Yeah.
So yeah, Lucerne, or not Lucerne, but Switzerland becoming the mecca for crypto going forward. So you mentioned the trading show. You obviously are familiar with it. What is it that brings you specifically to? Obviously, speaking to me, a big thing. But outside of that, are you showing the flag? Are you catching up with clients, getting the lay of the land? You have special announcements you're making here at the show this week?
So we're here for the very first time. We were at a trading show in New York last year. I loved it. I thought it was a really great place to be. My head of sales has been in the business for many years. So we're here with him. We're actually here to introduce our new platform, the version 5.0, with a lot of new features in the crypto space. So we now also support fully automated trading of cryptos. Back home, we support a lot of banks that are now getting into crypto custody and crypto storage to provide connectivity to crypto exchanges and crypto market makers. And we got a pretty unique offering in that space that we'd like to present here at the show.
It's interesting. This is definitely a burgeoning area of the space, the crypto algo side of the space. Because, in the early days of it, and even up until recently, you didn't see a lot of algos playing there for a lot of reasons. A lot of algos like to play in like the execution, very fast execution side of the space, and that really has them in the crypto space, right? The executions are slow. There's custody issues. There's transferring of funds issues. Speed is not really the first thing that comes to mind when you think of crypto. Also, the correlations are kind of fast and loose because the venues are fragmented. Things are trading all over the place. The prices are kind of all over. So a lot of the traditional plays of latency or correlation, they're not really there yet in the crypto space. But I've talked to a lot of people here who are trying to bring that algo, execution, algo mentality to the crypto space. Obviously this is your bread and butter. Is the crypto space there yet from an algo perspective? Is it ready for prime time, or does it think it needs a little bit more time baking before you can really start bringing a lot of the major traditional algo strategies to bear in the crypto space?
Well, look, it's a new market. It's very volatile. It's still evolving. A lot of these crypto exchanges, there are over 200 of them, are basically small startups. So we're nowhere close to, in terms of reliability, compared to the big exchanges we've seen. But history is repeating. A lot of the patterns that we have seen in the traditional markets, equities, derivatives, are now repeating in the crypto space. So a lot of the technologies, a lot of the methods, a lot of the models are now also being applied to cryptos. So we have a lot of clients actually using our software for market making, for trading, quantitative trading strategies. We traditionally worked mostly for hedge funds. A lot of them are US based. And now they're coming to us asking us for advice, how can we apply those models also to digital assets? And maybe one thing I can add to this. Right now we have, the crypto space and we have the traditional space. But my take is that a few years from now, every asset, be it company shares, be it derivatives, be it real estate, will be tokenized. So a few years from now, we're not going to see this difference between traditional assets and crypto assets. It's all going to be tokenized anyway. And my take is this is not going to be 5 years. It's more going to be 1 or 2 years.
Wow, you're on the aggressive end of that. I like that. I like to hear that. So it makes sense then, from your perspective, to lay the groundwork now, right? If it's all heading there anyway, get in early while the situation is still ripe for the plucking for you guys. And obviously, you deal with a lot of the big institutions and the big firms and funds and the crypto side of the space. I'm curious. I hear a lot of interesting things about institutional demand for crypto, particularly over the last year and a half or so, where we obviously back ended 2017. Hot, fast and furious, pushing 20,000. Everyone wanted to get into it. 6 months into 2018, when it started selling off a little bit, maybe it tempered off a little bit. Then, of course, you've seen the run up in the last month and a half or so that maybe has changed it again. I'm curious, from your perspective, someone who plays day in and day out in that institutional and the fund side of the space, have you seen that demand kind of flag, or maybe behind the scenes was the demand still robust there for the crypto space, even as we were, day in, day out, negative headlines, breaking new lows, all those kind of things that over time you think could be a little bit draining on the psyche?
We definitely do see that. I read the statistics that last year in 2018, so in the crypto winter, 20% of all fund launches were crypto funds.
Really?
So the number of new fund launches is actually increasing, and it increased all through 2018. Obviously, the prices fell tremendously, but if you looked at the trading volume, that didn't change at all. And what's different now in 2019 is that especially in Europe, not so much in the US. A lot of banks are moving in. In Switzerland is a small country. There are 20 banks currently launching projects for crypto custody and crypto trading. That means that you, as an end client of a bank, can have your Bitcoin and Ether right in your bank account. And I'm assuming that this will multiply itself all over Europe, Asia, and the U.S. at some point. So I think right now prices are still on a very low level, but that hasn't had an influence on the demand. The demand is increasing, and now this year it's all about the big topic is STOs. The last 2 years it was about ICOs. Now the big thing is tokenization of real assets. And this is the big thing. Imagine when you will be able to trade Apple on the blockchain.
Oh, that's fascinating. I hear a lot of people saying that, but of course, a lot of Apple trades changes hands every second, and yet, obviously the blockchain, what is it, 300, something along those lines of what you can do per second transaction. So it needs a little bit of the plumbing to be upgraded a little bit, I think, to handle the volume that would be thrown at it with an Apple. Do you think that's happening anytime soon?
That will happen. Well, just looking at the developments of the big exchanges, there is the BACS exchange launching physical settled crypto futures. Same happens in Europe. There is the German stock market, Deutsche Börse, the Swiss exchange. They're all launching crypto exchanges, and they're not doing it to support Bitcoin and Ether trading. They're doing it because blockchain is such a superior technology that for them it's about saving costs. All the custody business, all the central clearing agents, all of that will be gone.
Yeah, it makes sense. Certainly on the back office side, it makes a lot of sense to move the clearing and processing onto the blockchain because that isn't latency sensitive. That isn't going up, 10 million contracts a second. It could take a little bit longer to process it. And it makes a lot of sense, you're right, from that perspective.
Well, the clearing, that's the part that is on the blockchain. The actual trading and execution, that typically is not on the blockchain. Yes. This is how crypto exchanges work today. And I think now that we're approaching, layer 2 protocols, the speed is increasing. The amount of transaction is increasing. And I think very soon that problem will be solved.
If you're Algos, and obviously Bitcoin is still the big market out there, but are there a lot of our funds coming to you and saying, hey, you mentioned ETH before, we want to have some Algos on ETH or Litecoin, or is some of the others out there really getting traction with your audience, or is it still 90% of it all Bitcoin all the time?
No, so our clients are professional traders. They always trade multiple coins. I would say the top 20. That's typically what you want to trade. So it's the same as in the traditional space. You're not just going to trade one share. You're going to trade a whole basket, and it's the same. It's the same in the crypto space. Yeah, but I'd say it's mostly Bitcoin derivatives. It's Ether, ERC20 tokens, and Ripple. So those are kind of the known the big coins.
Since we're talking about volume, what people are trading, there's been a lot of contentious back and forth about this report. Came out a month and a half ago from Bitwise. Effectively saying 95% of the crypto market is dubious, fraudulent, call it what you will. A lot of people have a lot of thoughts on that report. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on those numbers?
I think 95 is maybe a bit high. I think it's more around 80. But I was
That's still a lot.
It's still a lot. I was in Asia just recently, and I spoke to some of the exchanges and asked them, well, how are you doing things? Are you doing this? And they, admitted, yeah,
really?
Of course,
really?
We're doing it. Everyone else is doing it. And obviously, with regulation, this will go away. Right now, these exchanges, they're doing custody, they're doing market making, they're doing the actual trading, and all of these are typically departments that have Chinese walls in between them in the regulated space, and this is going to happen, sooner or later. It's actually, I'm again talking about Switzerland. The Swiss law is quite unique in that they actually included a license, a DLT license, into the corporate law of Switzerland, so that when you operate a crypto exchange, you're under the same legal premises as operating a traditional exchange. And I think other countries, including the U.S., will follow very quickly.
It's very forward thinking of them. We can't even here in the U.S. come to grips with an ETF.
I
we
know,
still can't even handle
know,
that. So
I know.
forget about baking anything digital or crypto into our corporate infrastructure.
And
forget about that.
This is the main reason why I personally believe the U.S. is a little bit behind in terms of cryptos, blockchain, because of regulation.
Yes.
This is the main reason why a lot of companies are moving to my country, to Switzerland, because there, the legal groundwork is already in place.
Well, Andy, we've touched on a lot of interesting things. The crypto mecca that is, the growing crypto mecca, really, I should say, that is Switzerland. A lot of interesting developments going on here, which you guys are working on as well. But we like to leave them wanting a little bit more, right, before we wrap up. So if you have any teases, any hints of what's coming on the pike you'd like to share with our audience here, Andy, now is the time. The floor is yours.
So, if any one of you is interested in automated trading, traditional assets, cryptocurrencies, and need help, need assistance, this is what we do. This is what we do for a living. We're happy to help. We got folks here in the U.S., in Europe, in Asia in place, and we're very welcome to stop by.
If they want to reach out to you directly, where should they go? What should they do?
So you can find all about us on our webpage at www.algotrader.com. That's where you find us.
I love the name because it doesn't even say crypto. Maybe you have to change it to crypto AlgoTrader because it's
this was actually. Can I add a little story? This was actually a working title. AlgoTrader evolved out of a hedge fund. So we originally built it for ourselves, and we started coding. And when you build a program, you got to give it a name. Well, it does algo trading. Well, what are you going to call it? We just gave it the name AlgoTrader, and then that name just stuck. We never changed it, and now we believe the name is actually not that bad.
I'm amazed it was available. You think AlgoTrader? You think someone else would have had that name?
That was over 10 years ago.
So you were a little early on the space. Well, Andy, this is great catching up with you, learning more about what you guys are doing over there at AlgoTrader. I look forward to seeing how all these developments play out in the marketplace in the coming months.
Thank you very much.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/The Options Insider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.